What is going on, guys? Noah Brewer here, back again with another video, and in this one we're going to be talking about the highly requested, my first 7-figure product and what I learned from it. So in this video I will be showing you the product, the niche, and all the specific nitty-gritty things that I learned from it. I wouldn't say the specific things that I learned in terms of strategy and stuff like that, but overall the things that I took away in terms of growing a business and the things that you need to know in order to actually hit $1 million, because it was my first time seeing it happen, and I took away a lot of really valuable things that I think will be helpful for you moving forward. So let me lay out the scenario so that you can kind of see where we were starting at and where we ended up at. So the situation is we did about $1.2 million in just 6 months. But the thing is, it was not with a single store. It was with a few different stores, just with a single student that I was working on. If you do want to hear about my first single store and single product that made 7 figures, then let me know in the description below, because that's a whole other lesson and a whole other different situation that I can talk about. This was my first time seeing $1 million with a single student that I was working with and growing his business to $1 million in sales. So the biggest store was 260K. It was probably like 8 or 9 stores that we worked on in total. However, they were all in the same niche and they were basically the same product, just a different variation, which you'll be seeing in this video when I show you the types of products that we were selling and the niche that we were in. But like I said, this was one of my students of my coaching program, and we built around 8 stores together during the 6 months that made a total of about $1.2 million. And if you follow my Instagram, then you would know that I literally just made a reel telling the story and how we did it. But speaking of my coaching program, I'm actually opening up my mentoring for the first time in years. I'm looking for 3 more people to direct my focus into and help find a winning product and scale over the next month or 2. Yes, it will be direct one-on-one mentorship with me, like on a Zoom call where you share your screen and I walk you through the entire process of dropshipping from start to finish. But in order to be accepted, you must fill out the application and get accepted below, and I'll probably do a call with you before joining just to make sure that it's a good fit. So if it's something that you may be interested in, click the link in the description and fill out the application. You might as well shoot your shot, because if you wanted to work with me directly, this may be your only opportunity in a long time. Not everybody is going to be qualified, but like I said, if you wanted to work with me directly, might as well fill out the application and just see what happens. I may have some other opportunities for you on the other end, and this is probably not something that I'm going to scale. Like, I have like 3 or 4 students right now and they're very, very happy. I've been working with them day in and day out, helping them find products, test them, and scale. And it's going really, really well, but it's not something where I want to scale to like 10 to 20 students. I just want to take on a few more for this case, because I feel like what I have going is doing really, really well, and I want to keep on replicating it and finding more winners and scaling up to the next level. So if you want to work with me, again, just fill out the application. The link will be in the description below, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Let's get right back into this video. Alright, so let's get into the niche and the products that we were selling. So as you can see on the screen, they were ceiling lights, like luxury ceiling lights. And I know it sounds weird, but these products were selling like hotcakes, like literally 4 to 5 ROAS on almost every single one that we launched. And you can see on the screen that they look freaking amazing in the image ads. And it was really, really cool, because we were not only getting customers from, direct to consumer, but we were also doing, business to business. You can see in the screenshot in the bottom right that one of our VAs actually went into a restaurant local to him and found one of the lights that we were selling in their restaurant, and they said that they bought it from our store. So that was pretty cool. These are not the exact lights that we were selling. I know the one over to the right, we sold quite a few of those ones, but the other ones are just examples. If you go on AliExpress and look up ceiling lights in this fashion, there are literally hundreds of them, like different designs, and they all look super cool. Usually they have these images that look really good, like in somebody's living room, or it's like some sort of set where they're clearly photoshopped, but they look really, really clean. And these are actually what we were using as ads, which we'll get into a little bit later in this video. Now, the biggest thing that I took away from this, and the thing that I think will be most valuable for you to hear, is the power of reinvesting and replication. Now, when you go to the casino and you start gambling, let's say you bring like $100 to the table, and all of a sudden you're up $50. Now you have $150. You started with $100. What you can do is you can pull out your initial $100 and then start gambling from that point forward with house money. So what that basically means is now you're gambling with the $50 in profit that you made off of the casino, and you still have your original $100 in your pocket. So if you lose your $50, no hard feelings. You didn't really technically lose any money. You're just gambling with house money. And this is essentially the equivalent of testing products during the time when you have a winning product on one of your stores. basically you're profiting from one of your stores. Let's say you're profiting $50 to $100 per day. It's like a very modest winning product. Basically realistic for any winning product that you have. You can open up another store and start testing $50 to $100 a day worth of products for essentially free. You're not really testing products with money that you're earning from your job, or you're not really losing. Like, you can essentially test products, and if they don't work out, you're not really losing money because your winning product on your other store is making up for it. So it's basically free real estate. It's free product testing, and with this scenario, we took full advantage of that. This student was very motivated to essentially say, I'm gonna keep reinvesting my profits until I literally can't spend it all on product testing anymore. And that's exactly what he did, and that's why he was able to find like 7 to 8 winning products at once, is because he would find a winning product, and then as soon as that was making money, he would reinvest his profits on product testing on a new store, and then basically rinse and repeat that process over and over and over until eventually he was testing like 5 to 6 products every single day, and he literally couldn't spend any more money on testing. So this is something that is really, really powerful in dropshipping, and if you can take advantage of it and you can find the ambition to actually go ahead and do this, you can be way ahead of a lot of people in this game, because a lot of people, when they start making money with dropshipping with a single store, they get complacent and just settle with that one store, when in reality, you can essentially test products for free using house money, right? You're basically using money that you made with ecom to test products for ecom and find another winning product, and eventually it compounds and it allows you to grow really, really exponentially. So I would highly recommend that you take advantage of this formula. Maybe if you reinvested enough and built enough successful stores, you can come out with a 7-figure store as well. So the next big takeaway that I took away from this little endeavor that did 1.2 million in 6 months is, if you recall my last video, the one where I talked about my first 6-figure product and what I learned from it, I wish I did this with the shoes. That's all that I'm gonna say, because it's a similar product where, you know, the lights was like a product where there was a ton of different variations of lights and things that we could have done with those lights. Like, there's probably 100 of them that we could have tested and sold. The same exact thing happened with the shoes. So had I known and had this experience and this knowledge when I hit my first 6-figure store with the shoes, I probably could have had $1 million store on the very first store that I ran. But because I didn't have that experience, I didn't know that I should, you know, go out and test other shoes. But looking back, in my experience, if you see success in a particular niche, such as shoes or ceiling lights or whatever, it's really smart to just stick with it and try to replicate the success that you see over and over and over again. By the way, I did actually run more shoe stores in the future, so that's not a wasted opportunity. I just wanted to push forward the fact that I did 6 figures with that store selling shoes, and had I done this and followed this structure, I probably would have done $1 million. So one thing that I took away is that your chances of repeated success are drastically higher than your successes of like chasing a new niche or a new product. So if you have a product where there's a bunch of different variations or types of it, then of course, if you find a winner in one niche, stick in that niche and try to find more and more winners. This especially is true for like clothing, shoes, ceiling lights, like home decor, like anything really that has, you know, numerous variations of a single product. Now, if there's one thing that I miss the most about Facebook ads, because if you don't know, I've mostly transitioned a lot of my focus onto TikTok ads, and with this particular store, it was with Facebook, is that high ticket print money. We were selling these lights for anywhere between $100 to $500, depending on the size and the variant of what we were selling. And the average ROAS was like 3 to 5, and profit margins were 50%. That means if we sold a light for $400, we were making $200 profit on that single order. Also, we had an average order value of like $300 to $350, somewhere between there on average for all of the stores. So we were doing like 2 to 3K per day with literally just 10 orders. Like, we weren't even pushing that much volume, and we were pushing so many profits to go along with the revenue. So if you can get involved in a higher ticket product like this, you can definitely make some significant money, just because the margins are so big. You don't have to push that much volume, so fulfillment is not that big of a headache. And you can also just have these monstrous margins, like $200 break-even points, where your cost per purchase isn't really as relevant. Like, I believe some of the products we had like $100 profit margins, and our cost per purchase was like $40 to $50. Like, it was almost ridiculous at that point. So always keep your eye out for high ticket opportunities inside of e-commerce, because if you do stumble upon a higher ticket winning product, you can definitely scale to some real figures and have, you know, way less headache with fulfillment and stuff like that. Now, another another takeaway that I had from this whole experience was if we didn't cross-sell, have our email marketing and SMS marketing set up, we honestly probably wouldn't even have crossed $1 million, and I wouldn't be here talking about my first 7-figure store with you. So I can't stress enough the importance of doing cross-selling, especially with niches such as, ceiling lights where there's multiple variants for a single type of product. The importance of doing email marketing like abandoned carts, upsells, making sure that the timings are right and the discounts and incentives are right in those emails. And then not only doing those, but doing SMS marketing and making sure that your systems are correct with those. So our cross-selling and quantity breaks obviously were immaculate. Like with the ceiling lights, we had many people buying multiple because like I said, we were selling to businesses, so they would want to buy like multiple of the same lights so that their location had, the same ceiling lights in the main conference area as they did in their main office. So a lot of them needed multiple, so we did a lot of quantity breaks, and we also did a lot of upselling and cross-selling. So post-purchase, we would say, hey, do you want another light for an extra $50 when the normal price was like $100? Or cross-selling, we would say, hey, since you like this light, how would you like this one? And it would be something with a similar design that would look nice in the same building, for example. So we were able to take advantage of cross-selling, upselling, and doing quantity breaks really, really well. And another thing to keep in mind about the email marketing and the SMS marketing is that because the product was high ticket, these things were literally ridiculous. Like the ROIs, I guess return on spend for these softwares and apps was like in the hundreds of thousands. Like for SMS bump, for example, if we spent like $20 on SMS bumps sending out text messages, we would get like 5 to 10 grand in revenue back. It was absolutely ridiculous. Now, one of the things that I took away, which I think is really insignificant and stupid, is that image ads slap. Now, obviously, you saw the pictures at the beginning of this video when I was showing you the products that we were selling, and basically the images worked really fucking well. Like, we tried video ads with these products and they just sucked. So if the product allows for it, image ads perform insanely well. And this was the same way with the shoes as well. If you recall my last video on my first 6-figure product, we were also selling those with image ads alone. So almost 100% of our revenue came from image advertising and carousels and stuff like that. And we did almost no video ads except for like retargeting. We did video ads just to spice it up with the retargeting, but I thought it was worth leaving in this video that we pretty much did $1 million off of image ads, which I think is pretty cool. Now, probably the biggest takeaway and the most valuable part of this whole video is the fact that we should have built a real business and not just relied on dropshipping stores. So in my opinion, once we saw like 3 different lights work, we should have built like a Wayfair style brand where we would basically be like one store that sells a bunch of different lights, and we should have just scaled and basically sent all of the traffic to a single store. And sure, we could have done different pixels on one store, different ad accounts, whatever. We could have diversified it in the same way that we did with dropshipping, just on a single brand. And I think it would have had a lot more potential, and potentially even being like an 8-figure brand that gets into manufacturing and distribution and stuff like that for the ceiling lights. I think we could have been one of the leading providers for ceiling lights in that industry had we gone the route of like actually trying to build a real business rather than just trying to like flip these drop shipping stores in 3 to 4 ROAS and then forget about it once it's done. And obviously trying to start a real business like that from scratch is like takes a lot of work, a lot of money and whatnot, and we had the perfect opportunity to basically start off as a 7-figure business in the world just by starting off drop shipping. And then we easily could have transitioned, take the money that we made from the drop shipping, transitioned it into a brand that did bulk ordering with the really fast shipping times, and probably could have built a really big ass business. So anytime you see opportunities to like transition your dropshipping store into a legitimate business that does real business shit and gets real customers and has good shipping times and is actually something sustainable, I think you should look further into how you can actually pull that off. And I really wish that we did it with this store, because like I said, we had like 8 different stores, hitting 6 figures, some of them multi 6 figures with a single type of product, and it would have been the perfect opportunity to build a real brand and a real business around ceiling lights. So the next thing I took away was basically legal structure, payment processors, and banks. Now, when you're doing 100K here and there, it's not really a big deal if your business is not structured properly. But as soon as you cross 6 figures, at least in my opinion, you should probably get a lawyer and an accountant on your team just to make sure that your legal structure is set up properly and you're not getting ass raped on taxes. My best recommendation is if you're an entrepreneur and you're growing your business, you probably shouldn't try to learn how these things work, and you should probably find somebody that you can put in the right seat to deal with these things for you, such as a legal for your business structure and an accountant for your taxes and things like that. And you can even get your accountant to work with your lawyer to make sure that you're following the right strategies for your unique situation. One thing that I wanted to say, because I want to exaggerate how important that is I've personally spent well over $50,000 for my own businesses on accountants and lawyers, just getting my business structure set up properly with holding companies and LLCs and S corps and all these different things that have directly saved me hundreds and thousands of dollars in taxes over the last few years. And of course, payment processor relationships are literally like your personal reputation. When you're a nobody and you're just pushing like $1,000 a day or whatever, it doesn't really matter that much if your relationship is a little bit sketchy with Stripe or PayPal or whatever, because you might get a hold or whatever, but it's not a big deal. But once you start pushing like 30K plus every single day, you're not going to get away with like any fuckery at all. Like your business needs to be structured properly, like everything needs to be in line and set up correctly, and you need to keep your relationship and your reputation clean with your payment processors. This means, dealing with the chargebacks. This means having great shipping times, treating your customers actually really well, issuing the refunds when issues come up so that, just to avoid chargebacks in the first place, like doing these things, taking the extra step to make sure that your payment processing is basically as clean as it can possibly be is going to be a necessity once you start pushing like 30K a day or more. And the last thing which I wanted to throw in here, which is honestly not that big of a deal at this level, like we honestly don't even really need to be talking about this because you're not going to have any issues at $1 million in sales. However, this particular student did because he was kind of in a unique situation, and that's issues with banks themselves. So one example is if you had a personal bank account that was processing all of this revenue, if you had a personal bank account processing $1 million in revenue for a business, the bank might raise some red flags and ban you. So I just wanted to add this in here because you need to set up your bank properly, like with the real, LLC or S corp or whatever structure you choose, and make sure that the bank is set up in the right way, because the bank can shut you down, and that's what unfortunately happened in this situation because he wasn't set up properly with his bank. So it's okay to start with a personal bank account if you don't have an LLC set up or whatever, but make sure as soon as you find a winning product to transition your bank account into the way that it's supposed to be set up, and transition all your payment processors as well. Just make sure that everything is good on the structure end of things with the banks and the payment processors so that you don't have any like stupid avoidable things fuck up your entire business. All right, guys, that was my first 7-figure product and everything that I took away from it. If you like this video, make sure to leave a like. And like I said before, if you want to see my first 7-figure single product, where it was a single product in a single store that crossed $1 million, I believe it was $1.4 million in like 60 days. It was a really crazy scale. I'd love to tell the story and all the things that I learned about that. Just leave it in the comment section because I'll make it if you want me to. You just got to let me know. Also, if you have any feedback, or if you're somebody who has had a store cross 7 figures yourself and you want to leave what you've learned in the comment section, I would also appreciate that as well, because not only are you helping me and giving me your feedback, but you're also helping the other viewers that are searching through the comments. But that's pretty much it for this video. I hope it was insanely valuable for you, and if you want more videos like this, leave a subscribe. But that's it for this video. This is Noah Brewer, and I'm out. Peace.